Alright, what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about an aspect of praying that not many people talk about. And that is, do you know that it works? Has it worked for you? Has it not worked? Do you ever use it? There was once a time, a long time ago, I was talking to my friend and he told me this story, when he was a kid. He was, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 or something, and he was going home on the train on his own, and he didn't have money, and he was going from the city to where his house was, like a 40-minute or 1 hour ride, and he didn't have money, and it's kind of like this kid is stuck, and he prayed as a kid, and suddenly he just found $5, just enough money to get on the train. And so I want to ask you, have you had that experience before? Does prayer work in those situations? What about big things like sicknesses, illnesses, maybe other things, maybe financial, maybe marriage? Does it actually work? So anyway, welcome to my channel, welcome to this playlist where we talk about life through Bible verses. And I want to talk about my experiences. I've had big prayers answered, and I've also had prayers that were not answered, and I want to give a few aspects today, and I'm going to have how I think prayer works. The first point that I want to talk about is the biggest misunderstanding that a lot of people, believers, Christians, or maybe from another religion or whatever, the misunderstanding of why 99% of prayer doesn't work. So Jesus taught ask and you shall receive. He gave these little statements, and the misconception is that the statement is short, but sometimes the process is long. From my experiences, I've had big prayers answered, but the process wasn't short. The process wasn't short as that statement as, ask and you shall receive. So that's the misconception that people have. And I can't even remember if I've had one of those short, the then and there type. Maybe I have. I can remember some situations where something was going to go down right then, right now, and you can't sort of sit around and wait for that. And I have had those prayers, I've sort of come out unscathed. So I say that my prayer was answered because the direction was not good. But they're not the things that had the most profound impact. The ones that did were the long-term processes. There was one case where I'm in a situation, I'm praying for something, and it's not happening. And there was a time where I'm asking myself, am I doing this right? As soon as I asked that, something very soon happened. Something very shortly happened. This situation unfolded, and it showed me, it's kind of it answered that question. It didn't answer my prayer, what I was asking for, but it answered that question, am I doing it right? And what happened was, actually, me and my family were on a cruise. We're on a cruise ship, right? And my son, he was asking for the drinks package on the cruise. Now it's, you pay up front, and they give you this cup, and you can go to the vending machines around with that cup, and you can get all the soft drink that you want. It's unlimited. And so he's asking me to get that package for him, and I'm just saying no, right? He asked me at the beginning, he asked me before the cruise, I'm like, no. Halfway through our cruise, it was 10 days, in the middle, day 5, my son comes up to me and he goes, well, can I get the drinks package now? And then I said no, and then he asked me again. And then I said, alright, tomorrow. Anyway, tomorrow came, and my son comes up to me and goes, can I get the drinks package today? And I'm like, tomorrow. Anyway, my son went down himself to the service desk, and he asked them, he's like, he was inquiring about the drinks package, and they told him, they're like, oh, we don't have it anymore. Like, it was, near the beginning of the cruise. Now we're not selling it anymore. You can't get it. And at this point, I actually felt sorry for him. Like, I didn't want him to be having all this soda like throughout the whole cruise, but at least he wanted it. And I was okay with maybe half of the cruise, like 5 days, and he can have it, and him not being able to get it, I actually felt sorry for him. And one of the points that I learned was the verse where Jesus says, if your son asks you for bread, you're not going to give him a snake or a rock. As much as you fathers who are evil know how to give good gifts, how much more does your Father in heaven, how much more does God know? Anyway, I sort of forget about it. Next day comes, and I go into our cabin. My son was there, and he's going, oh Dad, look what I've got. And it was the cup from the drinks package. And I said like, I didn't even ask, how did you get it? He just started telling me. He's like, I went down again. So this is the next day after they told him no. He goes, I went down again and I asked him again. And he goes, oh, we've got one here. We can't sell it, but you can have it for free. And this scenario actually taught me, like, this would have been the answer to the question, am I doing this right? And this is how Jesus taught his people to pray. He taught them to be persistent, to keep going until you get it. Now, there's this other story in the Bible which is kind of similar, and a lot of people, they don't like this story. It's when a lady came up to Jesus and asked him to heal her daughter who has a demon. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know what it could have been, some kind of illness, and the Bible doesn't give the symptoms so that we can pinpoint, the illness. But anyway, she asks Jesus, and she was not Jewish. She was not a Jewish background. So Jesus, if you didn't know, is Jewish, and his disciples, they were all part of the same religion. And there's this lady who is not Jewish. She's like an outsider, and the Jewish people of that time didn't really mix with outsiders. And so what Jesus said was, is it right to take bread from the children and give it to the dogs? So what Jesus is implying there is that, he didn't say that she's a dog, but he's implying that when he's saying that. And a lot of people get offended by that. A lot of people get offended by this verse, but I think I'm going to explain to you why this is probably the most beautiful verse in the Bible, and I'll explain that to you. Anyway, so Jesus says, is it right to take the bread from the children, which are probably his people, his disciples, and give it to the dogs, which is them, the lady who was asking. And then she says, but even the dogs get, the scraps from under the table. And then Jesus turns around to his disciples and he says, can you see the faith of this woman? This is how you need to have faith. And Jesus healed, Jesus gave her what she wanted. And all these people, all these Christians and other people who get offended by this, they don't get it. Like, Jesus got it, the lady got it, no one else got it. The disciples didn't get it. The people reading now, they don't get it, right? I get it. I understand what this is about. And then Jesus turns on his disciples and he says, look, this is how you need to be. When I was looking at what happened with my son and the drinks package thing, at best, at my most faithful, I would have got to the stage where I asked the service desk the first time. They said, look, we don't have it anymore. And I would have been like, okay, that's it. I'm not getting it. Just forget about it. It's not meant for me, right? My average faith would have been, my son came and asked me and I said tomorrow. And then he came and asked me again and then I said tomorrow. On average, that's where I would have stopped. I would have been like, this guy's just messing me about. Forget it. I'm not gonna put up with this, right? That's probably my average faith. But I believe, God really showed me something. Like, why did my son go again when they service desk told him that no? Why did the lady in the Bible ask again? Why did she answer back and try to really get that foothold in? See, she got a slap. She didn't just get a no. She got a no and she got a slap in the face, right? But she still persisted, and that is what it's about. So that's all I've got. Please don't forget, if you like this video, give it a like, make a comment, tell me if this has resonated with you. If you like my content in general, please subscribe, and if you are riding a motorcycle, take it easy and ride safe.